Alan and Malik and I were talking about. I was telling them how you called me yesterday to ask, or it was earlier today or something. You called me to ask about like the camera and the whatever, and I was just like, immediately when I was on the phone with you, I was like, oh, okay, yes, you got to do this and this and this, and I already felt like it was back in the summer again. I felt like I was back in John Meehan is my boss mode. It was. I mean, it's not a bad feeling.
No, more than anything else, I didn't want to mess things up for you guys. I want this. I want this to be great. So no, this had nothing to do with that. I don't want you to feel like that.
No. It was a good feeling. It reminded me of the summer, and I liked
Simpler times.
Yeah,
simpler times.
But then these two were saying,
absolutely, Alan.
These two were just saying like, oh, I'm nervous. nervous.
It's got to be good. We got to. This is a good shirt. This is a good shirt, right?
Because like as a brass caption head, you are extremely friendly with all of us, and it's more of a friendship than like a boss, employee type situation. But even then, we still get nervous for sure. For sure.
And that's that fine line. In order for you guys to perform at the highest level that you can be, you can't feel totally stressed around me. If you start to feel that way, then I'll never be able to hear what you truly, what your potential is. But at the same time, you need to know when I'm being serious and when you need to follow what I'm saying. So it's got to be that fine line that you're constantly on the edge of.
You're on it. You're there. You're right on that edge for sure.
It's taken me 30 years to figure out how to get there, but yeah. So
yes.
Now I got to stay there. So.
All right. Well.
Lost a summer of my age.
Yeah. Welcome back, guys, to the podcast. Thank you, John, for being here and for being our guest. It is a great honor.
I've never been on the Funliner before, so this is new.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you again for coming. It's an honor for us to have you on, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be super excited to hear what you have to say. So how have you been? How's it going?
Been going great. It's definitely been a weird summer being home. And not being on the road, and every Saturday seeing where we should be. This weekend we should have been in Allentown.
That hurts. That hurts.
This week is finals week.
Yeah, well, see, I never consider it finals week till we're in Indy.
Facts.
Everyone likes to post their stuff on Sunday. Until I'm in Indy, it's not finals week.
So finals week or finals should be this coming weekend, right? Like a week from now.
A week from now.
Or yesterday, yeah. Okay. Yep. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crazy. Scott Johnson and I were talking the other day, and he goes, well, we'll do that later this summer. I go, dude, it's Allentown. There is no time left in the summer. The summer is over. So when you're not on the road, it's hard to gauge where you are in the calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's definitely different.
So I want to jump right into it. So for a question that I have for you in the 2020, in terms of 2020 things, is like, does this extended period of time, is that an advantage for you guys as a design team, as a staff? Does having this extra time give you that much more of an upper edge on the next season, or is it more of like you guys are kind of used to the amount of time that you normally have to get a show together?
I think that's remained to be seen, because if Chandler decides that we're going to move on and do a completely different show than we were going to do in 2020, then we're still going to be in the same boat that we are in normal years. If we decide to do the same show that we are going to do this year, well, now we can start to go back, and in the same time frame that we usually have, we can start to refine all the ideas that we had last year. And then that will definitely help us. A lot of the different kinds of effects that we wanted to create. And I'm not going to get into those or anything.
Just, I was going to say, what? Which effects?
Just in case we do use that, I don't want to divulge any information. I probably shouldn't.
But, I don't want to get you in trouble, but I do want to ask.
Worry. I know.
But I do want to know what the title
is. So, do you guys, as of now, you guys are still working on the same show that you would have had for 2020?
Right now, I would probably have to say that we have no idea.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have all marched, and you know what Scott Chandler is like. He likes things to feel real honest and true to himself. He wants to know that what he's doing, is in the direction that he wants to go, and it's going to excite not only him, but Jay and Dave Glide and the rest of the team. So if we get to, October and Scott still feels like the theme we're going to do this year is relevant and something he can get excited about, we're probably going to push forward with that. If he feels we missed our window and we should probably do this other idea that he's been thinking about, then we'll do that. So Glide and I probably won't know until mid-September, early October, which is when Scott usually lets us know.
Another thing that a lot of people, if you were going to age out in 2020, you would have had another year, right? And a lot of people that are not aging out in 2020, like they age out, say, 22 or even 21, they're kind of feeling like they got the short end of the stick. They're missing a year. Do you think that everyone should have gotten the bonus year, or?
It becomes really tricky because, let's say you were marching, I'm just going to use Bluecoats because you guys march there. Let's say you were marching Bluecoats this year and you would have aged out in 21, and you might have gone to Blue Devils in 21, but you still want to get that year in with Bluecoats. It's that changing cores and adding on a year that becomes tricky. Like if you were to, so one of the things that we, proposed that DCI talk about is you get that extra year if you were contracted with a certain core through your age out year. Yeah. So if you're 17 and you're marching with Blue Devils and you wanted 5 years, you can still get those 5 years. But if you decided your age out year to go to another drum corps, you wouldn't get that extra year.
Interesting.
So that way that if you were with a certain corps, you would still get that bonus year, no matter what age you were. But if you decided to move somewhere else, it would be your true age that it defaulted. But DCI hasn't made a decision yet, so we don't know what it's going to be. All we know is that if you were to age out in 2020, you currently get to age out in 2021. Right. That's all we know so far.
Okay.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does. Yes. Height.
Like we're pulling for it, because there are definitely people that I've talked to that they got into the Blue Devils. 2020 was going to be their rookie year, and they're going to have 2 years, 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
But now they only get 1 year. And I totally get that. You wanted those 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's why we're trying to, get that small little amendment made where the core that you're with, you get a bonus year unless you change. So, and going B core to A core would be changing. So, you couldn't, like if you were in the B core, that doesn't give you an extra year in the A core. It's any competitive core when you go from one to the other.
That makes sense, but then I think about people like Robin who auditioned year and year and year and year after, and then if she had if it was her last year that she could have gotten, and then because it's switching cores and it doesn't count. But it's tough. So
who knows what they're going to decide? You're never going to make everybody happy,
of course.
So I think that no matter what DCI decides, it's going to make a certain group happy and another group mad. No matter what it is. So. It's just a really unfortunate situation.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel that. Do you guys, Alan, Emily, do you have any other questions pertaining to future drum corps stuff?
I mean,
no. Why would I? No, I don't.
I mean, how?
Malik's I'm aged out. I'm done. I do not care.
I guess how would you think, or how do you think DCI will change after all of this, knowing what we know now? From this summer, in the future, maybe even policy-wise, or whether it's going to be a compressed summer tour next year. I know we just can't really know, but just how do you think, what is your vision of next summer, essentially?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough because next year is going to be one of those years that it's going to be kind of like this year in that we're going to have to make a decision soon because we don't know what next year is going to be.
Right.
I think the DCI is hoping to make a decision by October or November. But talking with Sean, I think the Blue Devils, we're going to try to make a decision before that because we want those members to not have to, throw a wrench into their plans for 2021 if we make a decision too late. We want to make sure that everybody can plan their lives with enough notice. So next summer, I think if there is a drum corps season, I think like you said, it'll be truncated, it'll be shorter. One idea that I, have heard around is everybody delays everything by a month. So finals is still, where it usually would be, what is that, second Saturday in August or whatever it is. And then, the first competition is really a week before San Antonio. And so everybody kind of delays a month. All days are delayed by a month. The first family day would be delayed by a month. And then you would just take that 1 week and get to San Antonio and then do San Antonio to the end. That's something I've heard that is pretty feasible because it limits the time on the road. But the problem is going to be, will schools let us stay there?
Exactly.
Yeah, housing,
that is huge.
Housing would be so tough.
Housing is going to be the biggest thing, and that's where I think that we've seen the indecision in school districts as of right now. They still don't know, are we going back or not this fall? So I can't imagine them saying, yeah, sure, you got 154 people that you want to go ahead and bring in here.
Yeah. Dang.
So unless we can somehow swing, hotels or something, that's going to limit the amount of corps that can actually participate in it for 2021. So we'll just have to wait and see how it's going to be handled. My hope is that this makes us think outside the box, and we start to do new things as an activity, but still giving those performance opportunities to the youth that I think are so important. But within 2 or 3 years, we retain that same energy that DCI was creating in 2019, which I thought was awesome, top to bottom. Mm-hmm. Like the top 12 in 2019, I thought was incredible.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a really good season. Okay, if you guys don't have any questions, I've got a ton in my head. So
I've got a ton, but not about this.
Oh yeah, I know. We can change the subject. The subject.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even like I was watching the Blue Devils Gala on YouTube, and I was watching the live chat go, and everyone wants to know about 2020. Like the gala was clearly an event that was not about 2020. Like it was not about the future season, but like every other comment or so would be like, is this going to be a show announcement for 2021 or something? I'm like, no, not quite. So people are itching to know stuff. So I think what you said though it'll satisfy some people a little bit to give that bit of information.
I know we don't want to talk about this too much longer, but it's just one of those things that is unknown. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And we've had more meetings as a staff this year than we have ever had at the Blue Devils in the season. We were joking about that the other day. Is that we haven't seen each other in a staff meeting that often, but every time we're talking about what can we do next year. What if DCI decides this? What if DCI decides that? So Sean and the admin team and all the caption heads. I mean, we've been diligently thinking about how to make the best experience for the Blue Devils next year, regardless of what DCI decides.
The last little tidbit I do want to throw out, this is more for the people that are watching that might be interested, is will the Blue Devils be doing re-auditions for the 2021 season?
Yeah, so we're trying not to, make the 2020 members commit too early. Usually what I'll do is finals week, I'll kind of get a preliminary, are you coming back or not? And then I'll wait about a month and a half for everybody to cool down and relax a little bit and step away, from the activity, and then go, okay, did you really mean that you were going to come back? So we're going to handle it the same way. Probably late September, I'll try to get a firm count on who wants to commit to the 2021 season. Mm-hmm. And then once that is, we'll announce probably late October how many spots there are, and then we'll hold our auditions, which I believe are going to be all virtual. There won't be any live auditions this year.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, any of you guys are watching, I know it's going to be a comment somewhere in the comments saying, oh, they're going to, yeah. So that's your answer. Cool. Malik. All right. Change the subject. So.
Awesome.
Malik, you got anything? I got one, but go.
I got a few, but one that I definitely want to know is, what was the Hound like? Because I know you rode the Hound. So I've ridden the Hound before, but I wonder what it's like, back in the day.
Whatever you can say, whatever you're allowed to say.
Well, okay, so I was a rookie at 15.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's crazy.
Dang.
I was on the 04 for, I think we used to do 2 tours. We would go out and tour and then come back to Mars for like a month and then go back out on big tour.
Wow.
So my rookie year, I was on the 04 for first tour, and then something happened, and I got transferred over to the Hound. So I was on the Hound
John
I was
got
on the
cool.
Hound all 4 of my years that I marched. It was different because we had to put in stereo systems in the buses. So like we all took the car stereo systems that we had, and we all like jimmied them up, and we had like 8 speakers in the rafters. Somebody had their cassette player that we would put in the back of the bus, and everybody would bring their mixtapes onto it.
Oh, nice.
So it was an enjoyable experience. I always sat kind of mid to front. I never was a back of the bus kind of person. I like to get my sleep, as much as I could. So I was more up front, and we slept in the rafters. You guys couldn't do that on your buses, but people would sleep on the floor and up in the rafters.
That's so cool.
Reese definitely got into the.
Yeah, Reese can fit in there. Yeah.
And then there was hammocks. Like people would have hammocks coming like every 2 aisles. They would do.
That's wild.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not going to go into much more than that.
That's fair.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fair.
We respect
That's fair.
it.
We respect that. Oh, I was gonna say, did you ever have your own seat, or did you ever kind of get that front, like that prime spot by the end of your time?
No, I had a seat partner all 4 years.
Nice.
Did you have the same seat partner?
No,
Every year is different?
every year is different.
Oh, wow. Dang. I couldn't imagine sitting next to anybody but Alan. Like, I honestly... All right, okay.
Oh.
We just, like, neither of us ever smelled bad, and that was, like, the biggest deal.
Oh, so you know what to expect. You know that if I'm sitting next to Alan, I got a quality seat partner.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The only issue we ever had was that body pillow that you kept bringing on the bus.
Yeah, in 2018,
You
I brought a
body pillow on
I
the
have
bus?
That thing was so big.
Oh, yeah. Bro, it was amazing. For me.
Yes.
I remember. I don't. Did you have that in 19?
I did, but like me in
He kept
2018
it chained up. He kept it chained up. So
in 2018, Alan and I sat below the air conditioner, so we didn't have a rafter space at all. So I always had the body pillow in the seat with us, and Alan's always just like, he had a window seat, so he was always like squished up.
I'd be like sweating all over it too.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't you want me to
in our
not?
buses, the AC didn't always work.
That's
so we
crazy.
had the windows would be open, and I remember when I first got on staff, I was in the back bunks below Todd Ryan. So Todd Ryan and I were kind of like bunk partners. This was in the 90s, and it was raining on tour one night, and our windows were broken. So I woke up and I was drenched, because the rain had been coming through the window all night. And,
Man.
yeah, so I envy sometimes the situation that you guys are in with these buses. Not you guys now, because obviously Malik and Everett, you've aged out, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see the quality of buses and all the equipment and everything that the current corps get to use. It's awesome, and I benefit from it too. Our sleeper buses are awesome, and ever since I made that switch to the admin bus, I'm very lucky.
Ooh, the admin bus. Nice.
Yeah, I
If
remember
you could make, hold up.
Sorry.
If you could make a podcast with people that you rode the bus with, would you?
If I could make a podcast with the people that I rode the bus with,
That's a good question.
Like, would it be funny? Would there be like personalities on there that you
Would it be a
enjoy?
problem?
I think absolutely it would be funny and it would be awesome, and I would do it the year after I quit drum corps.
All right.
When I was no longer involved in it from a writing or teaching standpoint, I think it would be a great thing to do.
Yeah, the tough part about this whole thing is Alan.
Yeah. when we started the podcast, we had a discussion because we're like, well, we want to be able to be, completely just honest and free, and then Malik's like, well, I've aged out, so I've got no problem with that, and I'm like, well, I've aged out, but I'm also, I was on staff for BDB, supposed to be for 2020, and then Alan is also teaching, Alan is also a member of the 2020, so we're like, okay, well, we gotta at least, be
Dial it down a little bit.
I mean, we don't have anything negative to say,
Yeah,
anyways. But yeah,
But that'll make it like in season 3 You know, when you guys are itching to what's the next thing going to be, well, all of a sudden Alan will be aged out and everything will be great, and it'll be like, let's take it to the next
Then
level.
we can
Like
just go
John
hard.
Meehan that one day did bling.
Then we can finally stop lying about it.
Okay, I do want to ask, John, do you remember your first impressions of all three of us?
Oh, that's good.
Oh no.
I want to hear what you thought. And actually, I mean, you two should tell your first impression of John as well, if you guys remember.
Okay.
Well, let me get some things clear in my mind first. Malik, you did a media audition, right?
No, me and Alan both auditioned in Texas, so we didn't
Okay,
meet.
you went to Texas. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be tough for me to remember first impressions just because I wasn't at the audition for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then January camp is such a whirlwind. Like
Yeah.
you've got so many people that you're dealing with. And in Everett, you were a trumpet player in 16. And you went to the SoCal audition?
No. I went to the NorCal audition.
Did you make it your first year?
No. I auditioned in 2015 for the first time,
Okay.
and that was also at the NorCal audition. And
Do you want me to pull up your audition results?
Oh God! Oh no! Well, okay. In 2015, I know it was not good, and in 2016, the year that I did make it, I mean, I know that I remember. I think it was Peter who came up to me after the audition, after I'd gone.
He was like, "Sorry, man, just
And he
get
said,
out."
he said, no, this is when I made it. And Peter was like, I pushed for you because you're a good mover. Just make sure you come back and work on your music because I definitely pulled for you. So I do know that I had to work on my music, but I don't know my score or anything. No.
Yeah, that would be fun to look up. I've done that with people before, like, oh, let's go back and look at your initial audition results, you know, and if I still have the sheet, what did I write down and all that kind of good stuff.
So, but you wouldn't have Alan and Malik's though because you didn't do their audition.
I have their sheets, but I didn't do their audition.
Yeah.
So I have their scores and everything, and I probably even have their sheets because it was Dallas, but I didn't meet them, so it's hard to get that initial impression.
You know
I just
what? I would
remember-
love to compare all three of our scores. If you have them available, and if it's not that too much work, then I would be down to do that. But
I remember
Steve.
I remember
Steve was the one that.
Yeah, Steve
did our
auditioned
music.
us. Yeah, and I remember like with John, because we didn't get to meet him, so he called us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were supposed to call him or something, and I called him like 20 times because I was just like trying to hear back like whether or not I made it. I remember it like.
I think
I
he
think
called
he-
me first, right?
Yeah, he called you first, and I think John left me a voicemail. And he's like, "Hey, you left me 20 phone calls. I'll get back to you soon, okay?"
I do remember that you guys both came across very professional and very well on the phone. I remember Malik, definitely it was like phone tag with you. We went back several times. But we offered both you guys a spot, right? Like the conditional spot.
Yeah, you just said that you had to meet us first, which like
Yeah,
obviously,
which is it's totally important to me. Before we accept anybody into the Corps, especially brass wise, I got to meet you, and make sure that this fit's going to happen. So,
For sure.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool. Because I remember, because when I got my spot, it was John that had told me, and I don't know if you remember this, John, but we were in 2016. I was the very, very last person to get to know, because it was after the initial cut in the first half of the day, and we're in full ensemble brass, and you're pulling out people one by one, and then you come back into the room at the end, and you're like, all right, I think that was everyone. Did I miss anyone? I was like, me. And you're like, oh, right. Come meet me outside. And then you brought me outside. And then
I think that was Peter's idea. If I can remember right, Peter was like, you should kind of like, let's.
No way.
But I do like to do that kind of stuff. You guys know me well enough that I enjoy having fun with the accepting process.
Yes.
When people are getting accepted.
Yes.
But so I wouldn't have put it past us to kind of do that to you ever, because
I'm gonna let
we
him
knew
wait.
you're gonna make it that second year, and
Yeah.
so it was fun.
That's great.
That's funny.
Okay.
Now, you becoming drum major, I definitely have an opinion about that.
Of course you do.
Or not an opinion, an impression. because we had gotten through the whole audition process for drum major that year, and you weren't even in consideration, right?
No, I wasn't.
And then,
I was not. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like Sunday of camp, it's like Everett wants to be drum major.
Well,
And-
okay. Wait, so are you saying that you guys didn't even know that I wanted to be drum major until Sunday?
No, we did, but you weren't like, you hadn't like gone to the top of the
Yeah.
list by
I
that
was not.
point.
I was not in
And
consideration.
then like within
Yeah.
an hour, all of us like had like started talking, and things got moving, and things got changing, and all of a sudden it was like, bam, we need to fill a trumpet spot.
It's crazy.
Because
What I know is that Pat had told me at the beginning of the camp. He had said, we've got some candidates for the drum major spot. We've got people auditioning, so you're gonna do your thing as a trumpet player for the whole camp. And I did. I did not do any drum major responsibilities. And I remember it was the very last day, and they were doing Dave Gibbs and Pat were interviewing each person, and
Right.
I get a call from Pat, and he's like, multi-purpose room now, like, come over here. I'm like, okay. And I go in, and later I find out that Dave had just been interviewing each person, and he was like, it's just not the right fit. This is not the right person.
Right.
I don't
And
find
Dave's always got those instincts.
right.
Mhm.
And then they had finished all of the interviews, and Dave was like, well, I still don't think we have the right person. And Pat says, well, Everett, you want to do audition? And he said, well, bring him in here. Why isn't he in here? And then they brought me in.
Yeah.
And I did that. So
Yeah, no, it was very cool how it went. And then the person that was going to take your spot in the trumpet section, they had actually left to go catch their flight.
oh
So they left thinking that they had been cut.
oh
And I think we got
Wow.
a hold of her right as she was like getting to the airport or something,
wow.
and changed our minds. So yeah, it was a cool little. It offers those unique memories,
Right.
that happen. So yeah, very cool.
Nice.
Do you have our scores?
Oh, I didn't want to sit here and look distracted the whole time.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
you know what? Let's take a quick break, and let's John, if
course.
you want to find those scores, you can, and then Alan and I probably need to reset our cameras anyway. So
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
see
that's
if I
true.
got them.
okay, quick break. Okay, John. So you've got our audition scores.
Yes, so I've gone into the vault and I have audition results for the 3 years that you guys made the drum corps. Like how do we want to divulge this information? What do you want?
Well, let's start.
From a visual standpoint, you guys were very hot. Like all three of you were accepted visually. Like you had very similar scores from a visual standpoint. Like if I give you the score, it doesn't really make much sense because you don't know the grade, and it works. The dynamics are just like a drum corps show where you could get a 91 one night and 88 the next night, but you were
Right.
better the second night.
Right.
You know what I mean? So visually, you guys were very strong and
Okay.
very similar from a score standpoint. Now, musically, a different story.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's start chronologically. Let's start to 2 years before Alan and Malik ever got into the Blue Devils. Let's start with me,
Yeah, whatever.
the 4-year vet, before you guys were even there. Let's
It's not
start there.
important.
Well, and Everett, we all agree, right? Like your second year as a trumpet member was far superior to
Absolutely.
your first year, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was like you. I would be honest saying that your first year, I could never have imagined how great your second year was going to be, and how much I'd get to really enjoy being around you your second year.
I remember you saying that to me in 2017, and that was like that shook me a little bit. I was like, that's awesome to hear that,
Yeah.
So
So musically, you did not get accepted that for like you were a callback.
yes, I was. Yeah.
And for all those listeners out there, I mean, now he's running a podcast about this kind of stuff, and he was drum major and an awesome member of the Blue Devils. So don't ever get frustrated if you don't make anything the first time.
True.
Facts.
Absolutely. Visually, you were in. It was musically, you were kind of in that B- area, I think, from a score standpoint, Everett. And James and I just really needed to see some improvement, from you going into the January camp. So, and then you did it, obviously.
Right.
And you gave us everything we needed. So, yeah.
I remember in the 2016 audition at the callback, we were running and we had like just gotten it or something, and I was like furiously memorizing it, and then when he had us all play it down the line, and I was like, I got it. Like, didn't even look at the music. I knew I had it in my fingers. So yeah,
awesome.
I was super stoked. And by the way, I had gotten cut completely from the Blue Devils in 2015, and this was the second year that I tried, and I got a call back. So I was like,
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Talk about what? No. Yeah. So, anyways, just because you get cut doesn't mean you should, or just because you have a callback, you gotta definitely go for it.
Stick to it.
Stick to it.
Yeah, we were just talking about Robin Trong, right, earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Robin's work ethic and her determination and stick-to-itiveness is amazing.
Yes.
And she ended up having an amazing year as a Blue Devil.
Oh,
so I'm
yeah.
very glad that she got that opportunity.
Oh
yeah, for sure.
She deserved it 100%. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we know my score. Next.
Now that we got that out the way.
So Malik and Alan both auditioned at the Texas audition. And we typically don't accept people at the Texas audition just because I'm not usually there. Todd, Ryan, and Jamie Holly aren't usually there. So we want to, but visually, like I said earlier, you guys are both very strong. Malik came in with a 168 out of 90, 190 for music. 168 out of 190. That's a high score.
Oh.
Usually if you can break the 150, it's like, man, this person can really play their horns. So you came in with a 168 out of 190. That's awesome. So,
wow.
And I think we conditionally offered you a spot. Yeah. But then Alan came in and he threw a 182 down.
Why is it always about him?
182 out of 190.
I mean,
that's because, and we break that down into 6 categories that get a score. So if you only missed by 8, out of a perfect score, that's pretty amazing. So,
jeez,
wow.
Yeah, I got that one in, and it was like, okay, let's call it. And didn't you say, Malik, that I called Alan first?
Yeah, you called him first.
Because I remember I told Billy, I was
he
like,
texted me,
John's
he's like,
about
John,
to call you right now.
Yeah.
I was like freaking out,
Oh man. No, the funny part is Alan auditioned right after me, and I was auditioning for Steve, and
you set his score up. You want to do that too when you're at a drum corps show.
Yeah.
I love going on after somebody that's super strong because they push that score up there. So you helped his 182. Why don't you?
Yeah, you're welcome, Al.
Appreciate it.
Exactly.
Dab me up right now.
No, but I remember going in, and I remember having a very good audition, and Steve was like, "It's a yes for me." So like, that's like, hopefully your visual is really good. And I was like, it will be, I promise. And I remember getting out of the room and like jumping on the walls because Alan was waiting right there and he was listening to the whole thing. And I remember like jumping. I was like, get in there, man. Get in there.
You hyped me up, bro. I was like, let's go. Oh, that was so fun. And then I walked in the door and I was like, hello, my name is Alan. It's like, that was such a cool audition.
And then he
That was a
blew
lot of
you
fun.
out of the water.
If you like that guy. Yeah, but what makes it unique is you three are all different trumpet players, like hands down. Like you couldn't, and that's one of the things I love about drum corps is that it's not 24 of the same people. You know what I mean? It's like all 24 in that section have unique personalities, unique playing. They come at the instrument from different ways. Like we talked about how you guys each approach the instrument to be completely different. And I was completely different every day. What I played was I didn't know if I was, committed to it or not on some days. So I think it's pretty awesome to know, even though the scores range, you guys all became Blue Devils and you define, that ability to get in. That is, it doesn't matter if you're a serious musician or somebody that is just doing it because they love it as a hobby. You can still make the Blue Devils and be an important part of it.
True.
Oh yeah. Facts.
Now we just gotta find out Angelo's score.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Okay. What year did Angelo audition?
Same year as us.
He
auditioned way back.
He got cut from BDA at one point.
Oh, I remember him at like the 17 auditions at least, and maybe the 16. Oh no! He decided not to audition for the 17. I think he auditioned for 16.
Well, we'll just for comparison's sake, we'll go with the same year that we got. Malik and Alan's scores, right? Right there. Same visual score as the three of you guys. Okay, that's awesome. And 163. So just a little bit under Malik. Now remember, he was at the Concord audition.
Yeah, it's totally different. Audition. Yeah.
I gotta say that with inflation and everything, that's probably a 172.
Oh.
If you go to Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I respect it.
Yeah, pretty good. And he was an accept right out of the gate. That was for 18.
Honestly, Angelo's transformation from 18 to 19
my God.
still blows my mind. You know, like he just became so smart about every little thing.
He's definitely the reason why I was able to find some sort of consistency as a lead trumpet player. He's so smart with the horn. He is so smart.
He reminds me a lot of Scott Dean. I don't know if you guys ever got to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever got to know Scott.
Oh yeah.
Angelo became something that reminded me of Scott Dean, whereas like every day I knew he was going to be fine.
That's
it
crazy.
was like he had that kind of very consistent demeanor, very even keeled, and he always had that smirk on his face, right?
Yeah.
There was always that Angelo. Like he just had that, and every day he could be in the worst mood, and that smirk was there.
At the same time, after a show, he'll always come up to me and be like, "Was that good? Was that good? I wasn't feeling good today. I don't know if that was good." I'm like, "Bro, you were awesome. You're amazing."
Well, I think that's also the sign of an isolated musician that knows what's going on in their performance in that moment. You know, there are some people that participate in drum corps that are aware of everything that's going on. And they can feel the dynamic and that electricity of the group at that moment. And then there are those that are so focused on what they're doing that they're still like part of the team and everything, but I think they get out and they go, I don't know if that was great or not, and everybody else around me is going crazy. That's another unique dynamic about all the different members within a drum corps. So that's good though that he asked you, that he would ask you.
Oh yeah.
And not just say like, oh, that was awful. Great run.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Well, he did do that sometimes too, even though it was great. But
Scott Dean was always like on it, in those 2003 shows when he that was my Harmon mute that he was using through all that concerto stuff. He was just always so good on all that stuff. And then hitting that double C third valve,
which is so strange. Third valve double C.
Yeah.
So like, if we're on that kind of topic, like favorite, musicians you've worked with in the horn line. Do you like Scott Dean is up there obviously as most talent you've got to work with and stuff like that. Are there people names that stick out?
That'd be hard to because I know that I would leave somebody out and not talk about them. I mean, there's been a lot of great talent that's come through the drum corps. I don't know if you guys know this, but the arranger for Boston right now, Ryan George, Blue Devil.
Wow.
Wow.
99 trumpet player. There's just been so much great talent that's come through the organization, and I think it's even more so than the playing is just the personalities. I've learned so much from the members about how to improve myself, from a teaching standpoint or from just overall, the person that I am. And I think that's what I love most about getting to meet everybody and work with them is that whole aspect of it. The playing is, you come to the Blue Devils, you're probably a really good player, so the talent level's going to be high. Then it's the person that you are, and I think that that's super important. And that's what I love seeing is those developments of the personalities. Like you guys were talking about Angelo from one year to the next. It was small changes, but it was a huge dynamic to you guys, right? I think even Malik, from 18 to 19, you saw that confidence of him in the window was one thing, but then when he had that Harmon solo up front with the drum line, that was like literally 10 years of maturing, in my opinion, between those two moments. And
there's some obstacles.
That's what I love to see.
Yeah.
Like, you think, Wasn't it? Weren't we at
my
Ben
goodness.
Davis when we were cutting out the window and everything?
Yeah.
That was a journey
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I find out not even, like all halfway into finals week that there's a new solo to play. I was like, okay.
And I can remember me yelling at you like, play these two notes now, you know, and like change it to this. But
Yeah.
but you know that maturity level was amazing to see the changes in you guys. So
Yeah.
So-
I feel like you
Yeah,
have to be like are you a crier? Because like, how do you go all these years watching all these Blue Devils age out and change? You got to be like a big baby. Because if I were you, I'd be like bawling all the time,
No, he's
I-
tough.
watching all these people age out and stuff.
I'm not actually, and it's okay. So like Everett just a minute ago said, you don't remember when we when we auditioned? And, you know, for me, it's a revolving door of family. You know, it's like when you guys are gone and you've aged out and all that stuff, and I see you again, it's like, oh yeah, you aged out, huh? And you're like, yeah, like 10 years ago. You know, it's just one of those things that I don't think that we always know that we're going to be able to fill those spots with more great people. That I don't want to be so sad because I also consider you guys my friends. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I want to be able to continue to work with you if I can in different ways. Like I loved working with Everett on the Chase the Clouds Away thing. I thought that was awesome that we got to produce something like that. So I still think Saturday night of finals is the hardest night of probably the whole year. Is you work so intimately for 3 months, day in and day out, with each other. And then you do that final performance, you know, and then you never see each other again. You know, it's so weird.
Malik said it the best. I remember he said it's like ripping off a Band-Aid. You know, it's so sudden that it's all this time spent with someone and then it's gone. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, the good thing you work with so many of us. Like you said, it's like a revolving door. But we all remember you because like there's only one of you, you know, and there are only one of us individuals, you know, too.
Well, I try to remember everybody. You know,
Right.
because I
Yeah.
hope-
Right. But for us, you know, I had 4 years with like working and learning under you, and it's like I'll always remember like you specifically as, you know, someone who has, you know, helped me throughout that whole journey and that whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
appreciate it.
like finals week 2019. I like remember consciously avoiding having a long conversation with you, John, because I was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry if I talk to him. Like straight up, I'm gonna cry. So, just like I don't know.
And
Honestly,
you
with
know,
like every staff member, it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they're in the lunch line next to you. You're like, oh, don't
it's
talk.
like if I
Don't
speak,
talk to me. Don't talk to me.
No, and I appreciate that. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you know, you guys mean so much, like, because you create these relationships throughout the summer that I don't know if you can really create them in any other, place, and I remember it was at finals week 18, Alan decided that he was going to practice for his jury until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And we're like out of rehearsal finals week going, what is up with his chops? What's happening? And I think I went up to you on Friday or Saturday. I said, you got to give it a rest for a day, just so Saturday night, you're on it. And when you played that solo in 18, you make me feel like a natural woman. You fought so hard on that. I could feel that you were at 88%, maybe with chops. That
Yeah.
might be generous a little bit, but you still milked it and you were still awesome. And I remember giving you a huge hug after that run.
Oh, I cried. I walked
And
away.
you
I
were
was like,
so sweaty. I wasn't sure if my shirt was going to dry properly before retreat.
oh, that was such a crazy time. Like,
Yeah.
I try to not think about it, to be honest, because just like there's things that I could have done much
But
better
those
to
are the
avoid
things
that.
I
but
think that really mean the most to me. It's like when you see Javier in 17. He struggled finals week. I don't know if you guys know, but he wasn't hitting his stuff. Do you
Yep.
remember that, Everett?
I do. Yeah, he was.
Like he was going
yeah.
through some times, and I used a couple of tricks that my dad used with me when I was marching. Like in 88 and 89, we were performing, and I couldn't hit any of my solos. I got a double A that I couldn't play, and my dad started doing these kind of mind things with me on them, and so I used a couple of those on Javier, and we eventually found something that got him to relax, and he was so awesome when it came to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. He was everything that he needed to be. So yeah, I love those obstacles. I think if you have those hurdles and you can figure out how to think outside the box and get around them, it's even that much better when you get to finals.
So I wanted to know what it's like what was, because I haven't seen any shows from like back in the 80s or 90s. So I'm
you
wondering
guys need to do a reaction video to some of those. I say do one to 87.
Okay.
That would be a lot of fun. I would
87's
watch.
cool.
I would almost pay to watch you three react to 87. That would be awesome.
That sounds good. Were you a good marcher? One.
No.
I already knew the answer to that. Yeah, I've seen
Did
videos.
you show us videos? I don't know.
I think you guys know that Dave Gibbs was my marching instructor, right?
Okay.
So Mike Moxley was the corps director when I marched, and Dave Gibbs was kind of like one of the head. They didn't really have caption heads, so he was one of the head visual guys. And I remember Dave telling me, "Good thing you can play because you can't march. Give John another solo so we can get him off the field."
That's the joke we would always give each other too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Like, our visual score's gonna go up now. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I was not a good marcher. So what was your other?
I was just wondering, like, what was it like soloing back then? Because there was no mics, like, there's none of that. So, like, what was it like? The pressure and stuff like that. What was it like?
I didn't, because we didn't know about miking and stuff like that. We didn't think that it was anything different. We definitely had to play and project like crazy. I would never, like in my college jazz band, I wouldn't have played that loud, or done anything like that. So it was a completely different dynamic playing out there on the field. But it was a ton of fun. I was young when I was soloing. Like when I did Harlem Nocturne in '87, I was 16.
Wow.
During that solo, and
That's crazy.
And you guys know that my dad was with Wayne the main instructor, right?
Yeah.
So there was definitely a lot of pressure when you got a solo that you had earned that, and it wasn't just because your dad was the instructor.
Yeah.
And they, even in, I'll go ahead and joke like this, but we used to make up words to, I don't know if you guys still do this, but to the show music and stuff. And for the Harlem solo, the horn line kind of come up with, "My name is John Meehan. My daddy gave me a solo." And the next words are, "I crack it every time."
Oh no!
And it was, there's pressure there, But the thing was I was a gamer. You get me to a show, and I was awesome. So, I loved that pressure. And even now, when I write, when I know a deadline is looming, it feels like the creative juices and everything just pump up, and everything is so much better. I love that. I think when I don't have deadlines or I don't have that pressure, it just feels like I don't work the same way. So even when I was soloing at rehearsals, even though I was going for it, it wasn't like I was lackadaisical and wasn't trying to be great. It just didn't happen the same way it did when I was, in uniform and performing. And it's something I've had to learn. And then now as a teacher, I want to make sure that I can try to help those people that have maybe the same problem.
Yeah, I feel like I have had that same problem too. Like I feel I perform way better when the lights are on, the cameras are on.
Right.
Like I feel like I do that too.
Absolutely.
But no, it was great. And being able to, I had some pretty iconic solos. The Harlem solo in '87, '88 when the Corps built that triangle and then took away, and I was right at the tip of that triangle. Being part of the walk-off solos in '88 was awesome. And those guys were such good players. Tim Root, Rich Zeller, Scott Moore, Jamie Oat. Just such great musicians and players that, we all made each other better, just like you guys do. So, and then the crowd, I think the crowds then were like, they would shout things, it would almost be like they were hecklers, versus now it's more of a polite crowd, I think.
Yeah, they're like part of the DVD recordings and stuff. You hear
they would find all the silent moments, and yell out anything. you know, that didn't have to make sense.
It's like the Tiger Woods whenever there's like right before or right after they go, mashed potatoes! Mashed potatoes! I was going to say, this is a super hard question to answer, but I was going to say, do you like have any year in particular that's extremely memorable to you, like in terms of the members, like your relationship with the core? Like, was there a specific year where like, wow,
14,
like, yeah,
100%. Like,
that's
there
always
was just,
the answer. Yeah,
there was something about 14 that it was just different, you know, and I think a lot of it was because at Mars we thought we might be 5th or 6th place. You know, there was times where you weren't sure. You know,
wow,
that's crazy.
Because we were doing things much differently than we had in 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We were taking chances with music. We were taking chances with staging. We had these big old props out there. It was much different. And that core just worked super hard. And we had some major obstacles that year on tour with membership and some different things. And I think just because of all that stuff, there was just this bond that was much different than maybe we got in some other years.
Wow.
Wow.
Beyond that, 95 was definitely a memorable year. That horn line at times didn't get along great, but they were amazing. You know, they were monsters. Mm-hmm. But I can remember a lot of friction in that horn line at times. Mm-hmm. So that's stuff that sticks out. And then maybe one of my favorite horn lines ever was the Methods of Madness 2000. That core was great. And then 2007, they fought so hard. You know, because at Family Day I think we took 3rd place. I think C Corps won Family Day in 2007. B Corps took 2nd.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, as soon as I didn't get a reaction out of you guys, I knew I needed to explain it.
yes.
I was like, they had competitions at Family Day?
That's what I was thinking. It's like, whoa.
No, we weren't very good at Family Day. And then in that core just tooth and nail. I think they lost to the top 6 that year, at different points in the season. So
wow.
Yeah. And even the week before finals completely fell apart on the starting line. So, yeah.
I remember when we fell apart on the starting line in 2017, the literal starting line, at the Riverside show. Do you remember that show?
I remember. I don't do the Riverside show. I usually leave that.
That's right. Did you hear about it then?
I'm out of here.
That was I don't know if there's a recording of it. I think I tried to find it, but we didn't. Some people thought we were starting. Some people thought, oh, we got to wait for Mikey because he's hitting his horn. And so some people moved and we ended up just like going for it. But it's crazy that you were that you're saying that you guys weren't certain or you didn't know about the greatness of 2014 in the early days. That's wild.
No, the only year that I was like, oh, this is it, is 2003. We did our early season recording in 2003, and me and Scott Johnson just kind of looked at each other and went, it's over. Like that.
Dang.
When you got into that that 5/4 Brubeck thing, at the end of the opener, it was just, that core was amazing. And I think that was Chandler's first year as program coordinator. So he had a lot of stuff that he wanted to get out there from a holistic standpoint.
Right.
But 3 was that. 3 had a much more feeling of like, this is going to be an amazing core. 14, I still think that, like I said, at Mars we didn't know what was going to happen.
Wow. So then I would say, if you could pick a favorite show from the past decade, like from the 2010s, what would you say is your personal favorite show?
I have to go with 17. Yeah, I mean, obviously every core is great, and I've loved every year of it. Sometimes you love it for different reasons, but 17, the uniform was incredible.
It really was.
Just being able to see the members' faces when they came out in the ballad, and all of a sudden the jacket was shed, and there's that vibrancy of the colors of the top and their smiles, and that just kind of that personality just popped.
And it was an easy ballad. We were chilling to the ballad, like physically. We were just like walking around. You know, it was awesome.
And it was my 14, 15, 16. It was my fourth year really kind of writing, and it was one of those years that Dave and I really had a ton of fun with that show. You know, being able to, that ballad was just ridiculous. The way that thing came out, and then being able to put together the 40 trumpet feature. You know, I had seen this thing that Simon Dobson did, and so I actually reached out to Simon Dobson. I go, hey, I want to perform this, and he was like, absolutely. And he's a great guy, and that crystal thing that we did for the 40 trumpet feature was great. And then putting that trombone feature together with Alex Blue and everybody helping with that, and then the big swing section after that. And
so
then,
cool, yeah.
And then I'm going to just mention this. So Dave and I had no idea what we were going to do with the end of the show in 17. No idea. And in November, we had bought tickets to see Hans Zimmer at Bill Graham Theater in San Francisco. It was in the middle of April. And so we had tickets. We brought our wives, and we had tickets right behind the sound booth on like the 50.
Oh,
you know?
man.
And when he got to the Interstellar stuff, you know, Dave basically just starts hitting me and going, this is the end of the show, you know, and he's just hitting me, and this is the end of the show. So the next day we wrote it, and basically what we wrote the next day was what you guys played at finals. You know, it was it was so inspired.
That makes sense. I played E for the entire end of that show.
But no, 17 just had so many great memories. Kevin's trombone solo, just ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know,
that was great.
So many good things. But
Cool. I mean, Malik and I have said this on multiple episodes now, is that our favorite show is 2012. Like, our favorite show of all time, of all drum corps, is 2012. And that, you know, for me was like my vision of the perfect Blue Devil was that show. And I just love that show a lot. So.
I love that uniform too.
Oh,
I mean, that was, and that was the year that we went backwards, right? We ended with the jackets on.
Yes.
That was a J. Murphy masterpiece. How he got to stage that thing to where, how are we going to get the jackets on to where nobody knows, and all of a sudden we're in that company front and we're going to come forward.
You know, crazy.
So
crazy.
That took like 3 days at Mars with those pony horses out there trying to figure out who's going to do what when. You know,
so cool.
The magic of the Blue Devils. I mean, you can't do that stuff any other way other than organically, the way that Scott and Jay and everybody go out there and do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we could honestly go on forever. We could go on for a long time asking questions, because you are we would love to pick your brain about every little thing, but unfortunately we don't have that time. You got to go have dinner. But
I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much for spending some of your time and talking to us. And I mean,
it's been awesome. You guys are great. I mean, my family and I love watching the podcast, so I really appreciate you having me on here.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool to hear. And tell the daughters we all say hi and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Love the cookies.
Yes.
The cookies, they love that.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks again for coming on, and everyone, thank you guys for watching, and leave a comment below. We read them all. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, all that fun stuff. But yes, thank you again to John for being a podcast guest. And if you have any suggestions for the guests in the future, shout it out in the comments, and we'll take a look. So thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.
See ya.